This is Into Math 3rd grade, lesson 16.1. Represent equivalent fractions with smaller parts. I can represent a fraction with equal parts that are smaller in size than the equal parts of an equivalent fraction. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 422. We will begin under Build Understanding, question 1. Tia folds a square sheet of paper into fourths. She shades 3/4 of the paper red. Show how Tia's paper might look in the workspace on the left, which is right here. So that says Tia's paper's folded into fourths, which means we know it's going to be in 4 equal parts, and then we are told that it is she is shading 3 of those 4 squares. So if you want to go ahead and pause and try this on your own and come back, you may do so, or just follow along with me. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and make this square into 4 equal parts. And that's the first step. And then next I'm going to shade 3 of the 4 squares red because we were told that she shades 3/4 of the paper red. Now I'm going to take a look at the next direction, which says Tia takes the folded sheet of paper and folds it again to make 8s. So we're going to take Tia's paper and fold it into 8s over here on the right side. So I'm actually going to take Tia's folded paper with the fourths and drag it over, and then I'm going to create 8 folds. So right now we have 4 folds. So all I'm going to do is draw a line up top and a line down here. And now I have created 8s, meaning there are 8 equal parts using the same paper that Tia had when she made fourths. Now we can answer the questions A. What fraction of the paper is now shaded red? So I'm going to need to take a look at how many equal parts there are, and we have counted that there are 8 equal parts, so I know that my denominator is going to be 8, and then we're going to look and see what part is shaded red. So we need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 red shaded parts, so my new fraction is going to be 6/8. Let's take a look at part B. How does 3/4 compare to the fraction Tia made by folding the paper into 8s? And that gave us the fraction of 6/8, right? So we're really comparing 3/4 to 6/8. So we have 3/4 here and 6/8 we made. You're welcome to pause the video and solve this on your own and come back, or you can follow along with me. When we take a look at the 3/4 and the 6/8, we're going to notice that the shaded part is equal. It is the same amount of area shaded in both fractions. I've highlighted this in green for you so that you can see that these are actually the same. They are actually equal. So we can answer that 3/4 and 6/8 are equal. The shaded part of the paper stays the same no matter how many equal parts you make folding the paper. Let's take a look at the next page, page 423, part 2. Alvin folds a strip of paper into thirds and shades 2/3. Then Alvin folds the same strip again into 6. Show Alvin's strip folded into thirds and 6. As always, you are welcome to pause and try this on your own and come back, or just follow along with me. We will start with the first strip, which was cut into thirds. I will go ahead and make 2 lines to demonstrate thirds. Okay, now I'm going to look at what he shaded, and I notice here that he shaded 2 of the 3. So I'm going to shade in 2 of the 3 equal parts that I've created on this strip. So I have created here 2/3. Now, if we are taking the same strip, but instead of having 3 parts, we're going to have 6 parts. So in order to do that, we're just going to cut 2 pieces on each of those 3 sections. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. And you'll see that the shaded part is actually 4 out of the 6. Let's take a look at part A. Divide the number line to show thirds and 6. Label the fractions on the number line. Then draw a point to show the part of the strip Alvin shaded. Okay, that's a lot of directions. Let's start with the first part. Divide the number line to show thirds and 6. So on the bottom here, I see that they have already started with the thirds. So we have 0 out of 3 and 3 over 3 on the bottom here. So that's going to be where we're dividing into thirds. So we're going to go ahead and continue. If this goes over 1, we would have 1/3. And we go over another section, there would be 2/3. And then right here we would complete 3 over 3, which is 3/3. So now we're going to take a look up top, and we have 0 over 6 and 6 over 6 here. So we are going to go ahead and divide the top line by 6. So let's take a look up top at the number or the folded strip. You will see that right here was 1/3. This was 1/3 right up at the top. Well, when we look at the 6, and we're looking at that same space that's right here, we don't see 1/6. What do we see? We see 1, 2, 6. So the same line that's right here, we're going to write 2, 6, because we know that this yellow square that I've highlighted, for 1/3, there's really 2, 6 there. And then the same thing we're going to look at right here. See this part? If we're looking at all of this red part right here, if we look down below and we trace the same shape, this red rectangle, we would find that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4, 6. So that's the same as the 2/3, which would be right here, 1, 2. So on the 2/3, we're going to write 4, 6. And then we know that if we filled everything in, it would be this one right here, 6, 6. Okay, now we have divided the number line into thirds and 6, and we have labeled the fractions on the number line. Now we need to draw a point and show the part of the strip that Alvin shaded. Well, we know we've already done this work right here, that the point is 2/3 or 4, 6. So we're going to draw a dot right there to show that part of the strip that Alvin shaded. Let's take a look at part B. What fraction in 6 is equivalent to 2/3? How do you know that the two fractions are equivalent? Well, we need to go over and take a look at the connective vocabulary, which explains that 2 or more fractions that name the same amount or distance on a number line are called equivalent fractions. So what we did up here, where we drew 2/3 and we drew 4, 6, we made equivalent fractions. And we can see on the number line that 2/3 and 4, 6 are the same amount or distance on the number line, so they are equivalent fractions. So we can answer 4, 6, and how do we know? Because they are located at the same point that marks 2/3 and 4, 6. As always, you can go back and rewatch this video and pause along the way anytime as needed.